Okay, today we are going to be talking about, let me get my screen set up here. Boom, there we go. Cool deal. So welcome everybody to this week's edition of the Business Owners Mastermind Call. And this call is happening every single Monday at 1:30 or 1 p.m. Pacific time. And today's literally going to be one of probably the best calls I've done all year long. In fact, every single time I get an opportunity to do this particular call, I get even more excited because I end up learning a whole lot more myself as a teacher, but I get to help a ton of other people solve one of the hardest and most challenging things that we face as business owners, as we face as salespeople, as we face in growing our business, and that is the mystery behind appointment setting. So appointment setting, a lot of people don't understand what appointment setting is all about. They typically try to sell while they're setting an appointment. And one of the things that I want to point out right from the get-go is the purpose of setting an appointment is to simply set an appointment. Nothing more, okay? It's nothing more than setting an appointment, and there's all kinds of different appointments that you can set. So it can be setting a face-to-face appointment, it can be setting a phone appointment, it can be setting an appointment to have a joint venture call, it could be setting an appointment to have a conversation with a relative, a friend. The thing that I'm trying to say here is people make appointment setting a bigger deal than it really needs to be. And all it is you're reaching out to somebody and you're asking them to exchange their time in exchange for something that you have of value. So one of the things that you want to keep in mind is when you're calling somebody up and you're asking them for an appointment, I want you to picture a teeter-totter. So if you're in a park, and most parks will have what's called a teeter-totter. Now, if you're young and you're not from my generation, and you probably haven't hung out in a park like ever, okay? Basically, what a teeter-totter is there's a central point, and on one side, it's usually down on the ground, and it's a big old piece of wood that spans across a pendulum. And one side goes up, one side goes down. It depends on which side has more weight as to which side goes down, which side wins. It's the same thing when it comes to appointment setting. So when you're calling up a prospect, understand they're not sitting around waiting for your call. They're not just sitting around going, you know what, I think I'm going to just kind of take a break right now because I'm pretty sure somebody's going to call me. That's not what happens, okay? So they're usually busy, they're usually doing something, and you got a very short period of time, usually 5 seconds, to get their attention when you make a phone call. So in order to get the amount of time that you're wanting from somebody, you have to add the same amount, if not more value, to the other side of the teeter-totter. So if I'm asking you for a half hour of your time or an hour of your time, then I will need to add a tremendous amount of value to the other side of the teeter-totter. And this is the biggest mistake people make, is they think that they can take a list of 100 people or 200 people and call through that list and get somebody to give them a half hour to an hour of their time. Now, don't get me wrong, it happens. It happens every day of the week. But you got to ask yourself this question: how many calls do you want to make? Okay. For myself, it comes down to I have zero patience for wasting time. I don't have any patience at all for wasting time. And so I'm going to teach you a system on this call today that I came up with back in 2003. I had bought into a company, which means to say I purchased some stock in this company, and I took over in their sales and marketing area. And one of the things I learned back then is if you don't own a majority of the shares in a company, you don't get to call the shots. So I remember the owner come to me and saying, hey, you know what? Welcome aboard, and you're going to need to make 250 to 300 cold calls a week. Well, that made 0 sense to me because I wanted an appointment. I didn't want to make 250 to 300 calls. So I had to come up with a system that allowed me to market to somebody over time to pique their interest enough so when I did actually call them, they would take my call. Okay, so we're on a conference call, right? Or for those of you that can see my screen, you're watching it on the screen, is I wanted to come up with a system that allowed me to make 10 calls and have 10 conversations and set 3 to 4 appointments versus 100 calls or 100 conversations and set 2 or 3 appointments. How many of you would agree that getting 3 out of 10 is a whole lot better than getting 3 out of 100? Okay, and I can't see any of you, but I would imagine everybody has their hand raised. Okay, so before we get into that, let's talk about the differences in appointment setting. There is the inner game of appointment setting. There is the outer game. And then finally, there is the taking action part of appointment setting. So inner game has to do with mindset. Outer game has to do with systems. And finally, you got to have a plan of action if you want to succeed in appointment setting. So there's basically 3 ways to increase your appointment setting results. Number 1 is working on your inner game. Number 2 is creating systems that are customized to you that work. And then finally, creating a plan of action. And so we're going to talk about how to address all 3 of those on today's call. So first, let's talk about mindset. Okay, so there are more appointments that can be set than I can run. So it really comes down to what your mindset is. Do you believe that you have the ability to set as many appointments as you can? Or do you look at, man, appointment setting's tough. I just can't seem to set appointments. I'm not having any success with setting appointments. I'm tired of hearing the word no. What is your mindset around that? And that's a checkup from the neck up right there. So here's something that I do. So everybody has access to go out and purchase a deck of playing cards. And I would highly recommend you go do that. For me, it's been such a tool that I've used for, well over probably 20 years. And what's funny is my 10-year-old, and at the time he was 7, has watched me make lots and lots of phone calls. And one of the things he's always saw me do is use a deck of cards when I'm making phone calls. And so we were in San Francisco about 3 years ago, and walking on Pier 39, he ran across this deck of cards, and it has a $100 bill on the card, and it's gold embossed. And so he bought me this deck of cards because he without even knowing, he understood that, hey, you know what, Dad seems to like his deck of cards, and so he wanted to get me my own special deck of cards. Now, here's what I do with that deck of cards. Whenever I sit down and I'm getting ready to make calls, because I'm just like you, I don't like making calls unless I know exactly what I'm going to say. I don't like making calls unless I have warmed that lead up. That's just me. And so one of the things I do is I sit down and I take my deck of cards, I take out the jokers, and now I'm left with 52 cards. And in each deck of cards, there are 4 aces. And so I shuffle the deck of cards. And as I'm making calls, I'm flipping over the cards. And what's interesting is I do not try to convince a jack of spades to be an ace of spades. And this is what is going to help a lot of you out, is realizing that I have to flip over however many cards I have to flip over in order to find that first ace. So every single time I shuffle the deck, every single time I flip over the cards, the count is different. But what's interesting, over time, I end up finding out what my ratio is. Okay, so the first thing I want you to write down is ratio. Every single one of you, whether you're on the live call or listening to the recording, have your own unique ratio. And in order to find out what your ratio is, you need to keep track of the amount of calls that you make. So your homework is this. I want you to create a spreadsheet. And this is going to help a lot with your mindset. And on one column, I want you to write down contacts. Now, what is a contact? A contact is somebody answers the phone and I get into a conversation. I'm allowed to speak. Okay? That is the definition of a contact. Contact could be on the phone. It can be in person at a networking event. It could be walking through somebody's front door and talking to the receptionist. It could be, at a mixer. It could be in any way, shape, or form. A contact is simply having a conversation with a person and asking them for an appointment. Okay? That is the number one rule. So I want you to keep track of the amount of contacts you make on a daily basis. Next column, I want you to keep track of the amount of appointments you set. Okay? Not ran, but the amount of appointments that you set. Okay? Number 3 column, the amount of appointments that you actually run. And I'm going to get into the definition of an appointment here in a minute. But how many appointments do you run? And then finally, column number 4 is how many sales were made. Now, if you're in a position where you're selling a professional service, where you have to run multiple appointments to get a deal done, then I want you to keep track of those appointments as well. Okay, maybe you even want to keep track of the amount of proposals that you actually present, but that would be what I would call an actual appointment. So here's the definition of an appointment. An appointment is any time where you can sit in front of a prospect or a client where you can present your product or service and give them the opportunity to buy. So you're either going to give them the opportunity to say yes or the opportunity to say no. But it does not count as an appointment ran unless you're going to present to them your product or service and they have the opportunity to buy or not. Now, the reason we want to keep track of these numbers is very simply this. If you don't know your ratio, you need a good 90 days of consistent activity in order to find out what your ratio is. I'll give you an example. My mentor, a guy named Dave Vanny, been mentoring me for, I'm 47, so ever since I was 21 years old, I've been mentoring with Dave Vanny. One of probably the best person ever on the planet that I know of that is a master at running numbers. Today, Dave makes well over $600,000-$700,000 a year. He sells a product called TexCoat paint, which is what you put on the side of your house or any type of home improvement product. And what he does Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday is he will go around and he will knock on people's home doors at their house. And he gets into, his numbers are this, he gets into 21 conversations a day. Out of the 21 conversations a day, he sets an average of 8 appointments. Out of the 8 appointments that he sets, 3 to 4 of those will run, meaning he'll be able to sit down, go through his pitch, his whole program, and he will close an average of 3 deals a week. And that 3 deals a week produces well over $600,000 a year in income. Now, one of the things that he has pounded in my head for the last 26 years is he would tell me this, John, you cannot control who is going to buy. Okay, I don't care how good you are, you're not going to control who's going to buy. The only thing that you have control of is how many contacts you make. That's it. You can't control whether they're going to set an appointment with you. You can't control whether they're going to show up to the appointment that they committed to. You can't control whether they're going to say yes or no at the end of your presentation. The only thing that you can control is you. And also understand this is, tell me this is like, also understand this, John, is when they say no, they're not an ace. Okay? Maybe you turned over a joker and you're kind of not sure whether they're an ace or not. And, that joker slipped themselves back in the deck, but you don't know. The only thing you can do is show up, do your part, and the chips will fall where they may. But I promise you this, the numbers will shake out. And so one of the systems he uses, he has a yellow notepad, and he runs his business in 32-day cycles. So every 32 days, he whips out a new sheet of paper. He writes down 1 through 25 on one side, and then 26 through 32 on the other side, and he keeps track of contacts, appointments ran, and closes. And at the end of the day, he adds up the amount of closes. Let's just say, for example's sake, that he closed $30,000 in income. Well, then he takes that, he divides it by the number of appointments he ran, and that's how much each appointment was worth. Then he divides that same number by the amount of contacts he made, and that's how much each contact was worth. So the psychological thing here, the mindset is he makes money on every single contact he makes. Now let me ask you this. If you knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that every single person you contacted about your product or service, every single person that you asked for an appointment with, that they would pay you money. And let's just say it was $50. So every person that you go and ask for an appointment is going to pay you $50. How many people would you go to contact on a daily basis? And the answer would be, I don't know, how many hours in a day are there? But see, that's the mindset. And until you go after this for 90 days and you do it consistently, you're not going to know what your number is. So the easiest way to get your head right and to get your mindset right is to realize, number one, they're not rejecting you. Number two, what they are rejecting is the fact that there's not enough perceived value for them to part with their time. Okay? And the reason you want to keep track of how many contacts you make, how many appointments you set, and how many appointments you run is so somebody like myself can look at your numbers and go, okay, we need to work on your phone script. Oh no, that's fine. You're setting enough appointments. Oh, you're getting a high percentage of people not showing up. Okay, so we got to work on properly locking down an appointment. So That's the reason you want to keep track of your numbers, okay? Another mindset that gets people stuck on appointment setting is I've got all these leads, okay? I can't possibly get to everyone, okay? I mean, John, I really can't get to everyone. I mean, I got too many leads. Well, good for you. That's a great problem to have. And you're right, you cannot get to everybody. But what if you had 200 perfectly qualified leads? Could you get to 25 a day? So out of 8 business hours in a day, could you reach out to 25 people? And if you can commit to doing that, then the system I'm going to share with you here in a minute will totally revolutionize everything you've ever heard about appointment setting. I know this because I've used it myself since 2003 and have built 4 different really successful businesses. I've taught it to every client I know, and they've used it and had a lot of success, and taught it to over 4,000 salespeople, and I've gotten a ton of feedback on how successful it's been for them. And today I'm going to detail it out to each one of you as well. Now, if you want my show notes from today, then you're going to want to send me an email. And you want to send it to jpyron@johnpyron.com, or just go to johnpyron.com, and all the contact info and everything is up there on the website, okay? Last thing I want to say about mindset when it comes to appointment setting is have fun with it, okay? Appointment setting really is fun, and it's easy if you know what you're doing. It's very frustrating, it's very intimidating, and it's very scary when you don't know what you're doing. In fact, one of the things that holds people back the most with appointment setting is, what do I say if they answer the phone? Okay, so we're going to talk about that here in just a sec, what to say, how to say it, and so forth, okay? So you want to avoid saying things like appointment setting is hard. I'm not good at appointment setting. You know, I'm not good at sales. And if you struggle with sales, you know, asking for the appointment, reaching out to people, picking up the phone, then that's a whole nother mindset that needs to be solved, okay? And if that's you, I'll kind of sidetrack here, and let me give you something, a little homework exercise that has helped a tremendous amount of people. Because most people, when they think of a salesperson, they think of fast talker, slick, liar, used car sales, that sort of thing. And it's a mindset that needs to change, it needs to shift. And so Napoleon Hill, in his book, Think and Grow Rich, in chapter 4, talks about a technique called auto-suggestion. And that is saying something to yourself over and over and over and over again until you reprogram your subconscious mind to believe you. And a lot of us have a negative connotation, a negative stigma as it relates to sales. We don't want to be that person. We don't want to be that guy or gal. And I get it. And the good thing is, it's not your fault. I mean, society itself is you know, has a bad taste in their mouth about salespeople. So we need to get a new definition as to what a salesperson is. So let me give you a new definition, and it goes like this. I want you to write this down. Selling equals service. Sell from honesty, integrity, and compassion. Selling is about leading. Selling is about moving people to action. So let me repeat that again so you can write it down. Selling equals service. Sell from honesty, integrity, and compassion. Selling is about leading. Selling is about moving people to action. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to write this down on a 3x5 card. I want you to put this on your bathroom mirror, put it in your car sun visor, your refrigerator, wherever you spend time. And I want you to read this out loud or to yourself 10 times a day for the next 30 days. And if you do that, I promise you this, you will reprogram your subconscious mind. You will start looking at sales a whole lot differently. You will embrace sales because you think about it, isn't that what we want to be known as? Selling equals service. We want to sell from honesty, integrity, and compassion. We want to lead people to make a buying decision, and we want to move them to take action. That's what we want to do. That's sales. If any of you are married, okay, and I'm talking to you guys out there, if you are married, guess what? You are in sales. You sold her on saying yes, okay? And vice versa. All of you ladies out there, if you're married or you've ever been in any type of significant relationship, you sold that guy on him being interested in you. And that's all sales is if you're passionate about what it is that you're doing, all it is talking to somebody about it, okay? So your outcome when you set an appointment is just simply set an appointment. It's not to sell your product or service. I want to reiterate that. It's simply to set the appointment, okay? Setting appointments literally is the catalyst for a successful sales career. It's the catalyst for any business. It's the number one skill in business is the ability to sell. It's the ability to get people to meet with you, okay? So I want you to imagine how your life would be different if you had as many appointments to run in the target market you wanted to focus on. Just imagine that for a second. If you had as many appointments as you can possibly run, what would change? What would be different in your business? For some of you, it could mean the difference between moving into a different house, completely different neighborhood, driving a completely different car, having a different retirement setup, maybe actually getting to retire, maybe actually being able to hand over the keys to your business to somebody else to run it while you're off traveling and enjoying the world. I mean, it literally could change everything, okay? So some appointment setting tools that you're going to need. Number one, we're going to need an appointment setting script. You need to know what you're going to say when you call them. Number two is we're going to need a confirmation email. We're going to need an information email, an objection response scripts, okay? Leads in your target market, your calendar, block scheduled time, and a tracker, okay? For those of you that are the show notes, everything I'm talking about today, if you're not on the live call or you don't have access to the actual video recording of this, I will send these resources out to you, okay? But an appointment setting script is simply this. When you call somebody, understand they're not sitting back waiting for your call. The other thing is we are all human beings first. So if you call me up and you say, yeah, is this John? And I go, yep. And you go, hi, John, my name is Joe. Well, the moment you tell me your name, my brain is going to go into overdrive trying to figure out who you are. And until I figure out who you are, I'm not going to hear another word out of your mouth. So understanding that psychology when you call somebody is very important. So one of the things I like to do if I'm calling you up is let's just say I'm calling up a person named Fred, is I would say, hey, Fred, this is John Pyron. You and I don't know one another. So right away, I'm going to relax his brain. So you and I don't know one another, but I got your information from wherever. And I just tell them flat out, I got your information from the Sacramento Chamber, Metro list. I got your information from the internet. I got your information from LinkedIn. I got your information from, Joe the plumber, whatever, right? Wherever I got the person's information, I'm going to let them know. Okay, and I'm not, never, ever, ever, here's the number one rule of sales. Never lie to your prospect, ever. There's no reason to. Okay, perfectly okay to say, hey, you and I don't know one another. I got your name out of the newspaper. Okay, So right away, I want to let them know where I got their information. Number two, I need to tell them why I'm calling. Okay. So I say, hey, Joe, it's John Pyron. You and I don't know one another. Okay. But I got your information from my buddy named Jim. Do you know Jim? Yeah, I know Jim. Great. Hey, the reason for the call is this. Okay. So if I was actually calling him and say, the reason for the call is this. Jim told me to reach out to you, thought that you and I might be a fit for one another. I want to see if there's a time where you and I can spend 10 minutes on the phone. Really like an opportunity to get to know you better, see if there's any ideas or strategies that can help you out. Or want to know if there's a time where you and I could spend 10 minutes on the phone. Really like to get a chance to understand your business better and see if I have any of my clients that would be a fit for your products or services. Now, let me ask you this. Any business that you this is to everybody. Imagine you get a call from somebody and they say, hey, Sally, Joe, whatever your name is, put it in there. This is John Pyron. Okay, maybe you and I don't know one another, but I got your information from LinkedIn. The reason for the call is I want to see if there's a time where you and I can spend 10 minutes on the phone. I really would like to get a chance to know your business better, to see if I have any prospects for you, okay? To see if I have any of my clients that might be interested in your services. Do you have 10 minutes this week or next week to spare? I will tell you, probably 80% of the people that I say that script to will say yes. Why? Everybody's looking for new business. Okay. Now it would be a lot easier for me to say, hey, I'd like to have a 10-minute phone call with you so I could pitch my services, and chances of me getting the appointment are a lot smaller. But if you think about it this way, now keep in mind, I just said never lie to your prospect. Am I lying to that person? No, I'm really not, because I truly want to know what they do as a business. And if I do have a client that could benefit from their product or service, I will gladly refer my client. I can't tell you how many networking opportunities I've created over the years with that simple script. How many new business relationships, how many new referral partners that I've created over the years because I was open to hearing about somebody else's brand, product, or service that was a potential fit for my business. Okay? Those of you that are out there in the service world, if you flip it and say, hey, you know what? I've got clients of my own that could benefit from other people's products or services. I'm just going to go out and hunt for new prospects for my clients. You'd be amazed at how many clients you're going to get yourself. Okay. So you want to have a script, and the script has a couple of components. Number one, here's who I am. Here's how I got your information. Here's who I am. Here's what I do. Here's what I would like to do for you. Would you like to do it? Those are the basic components of any appointment setting script. Okay. The reason I inserted a 10-minute phone call is because I discovered back in 2015 when I hired my mentor, Steve Napolitan, and we were working together, and he basically said, you know what, it is so much easier to get a 10-minute phone call appointment with somebody than it is to get a 30-minute to an hour-long face-to-face appointment. If you go back to, remember the teeter-totter? If I'm looking for someone's time and I only have 30 seconds to a minute on the phone, how much easier it is to get a 10-minute phone call versus a half-hour appointment. And so one of the biggest game changers that happened in my business is I added the 10-minute phone call. And as a result, I've gotten a whole lot more appointments that way. And I've met a whole lot of great new people. Okay. So, kind of put a bow tie on this. I call up somebody and I ask them for an appointment. I'm asking them for a 10-minute phone call. They say yes. Great. I've got the appointment booked. I give them 2 days. Okay. What would be better for you, Joe? Tuesday or Wednesday? He's going to choose, let's just say Wednesday. Great. I'm going to give him 2 times. Would you like 9 a.m. or 10 a.m.? Let's do 10 a.m. Great. Your place or my place? Or do you want to call me or do you want me to call you? In fact, why don't I call you to make it easier? Great. Fantastic. Okay, so let me get this straight. We're going to meet Wednesday. I'm going to call you at 10 a.m. I'm going to call you on this phone number. This is a good number, right? Great. Now, most people will simply hang up the phone at this point. I don't want you to do that. You got to lock down the appointment. Okay? Too many no-shows happen when you don't lock down an appointment properly. So what does that mean? That means Joe said, yep, Wednesday, 10 a.m., you call me on this number, no problem. Call up Wednesday, 10 a.m., voicemail. Call him at 10:01, voicemail. Call him at 10:02, voicemail. How many of you have had that happen? Okay, me too. So what I do now is I say, hey, all right, Joe, so I got you down 10 a.m., Wednesday morning. I'm going to call you on this number, and we're good to go, right? Great. Now, if there's any reason, okay, can you think of any reason why you wouldn't be able to make that appointment? The only reason I'm asking, Joe, is I only have a certain amount of slots available in my calendar, and once I put you in my calendar, I'm going to be there. And if you don't know for sure that you're going to make that appointment, I would rather pick a time where you are for sure versus versus you not making that appointment. So are you for sure you're going to be there at 10 a.m. on Wednesday? And he's going to say yes. Now I have an agreement. Okay. Next, I want to send him a confirmation email. So I want to schedule it in my calendar, invite him to the appointment, and send him a confirmation email. And he's going to accept it. Okay. Now, if you have any content out there, whether it be video, whether it be information on your company, your product or service, you want to send that along with that email as well, or send it in a separate informational email. Okay. So a couple of objection handling responses that you might get. You might call up somebody and they say, well, no, I'm not interested. Well, guess what? Believe them. Okay. I would rather take them off the list versus keep them on the list. Okay. And when somebody says they're not interested, it's a lot more energy to convert them to the interested side versus going out and getting a new prospect. Okay. So let's move on to, I'm going to give you a system today. Let me change screens here. Okay. Now, this system right here is called a marketing touch system. So for those of you that are listening to just the audio version, I'm going to make sure you get this sheet that I'm referencing here right now. So you need a couple of things. Number one, you need a CRM, okay? A client relationship manager system. If you don't have one, you can go to bit, as in Tom, .ly. So http:// bit, as in Tom, .ly. So B as in boy, I as in India, T as in Tom, .ly / John Pyron CRM, all one word. JOHN PYRON, Charlie Romeo Mike. Okay. That is a simple CRM called Less Annoying CRM, and that'll give you a 60-day free trial. Okay. One of the best CRMs for making appointment setting calls that I've ever seen. It's very clean. It's very simple. It allows you to split it up into groups. Okay. So that's one component. You could use whatever CRM you want, but if you don't have one, that is a very simple one to use. That's the one I personally use. Okay. I have I have Infusionsoft for my email marketing, and that's this super duper fancy email marketing engine. But when I'm sitting down making calls, I want it to be simple. The simpler, the better. Okay. Next component, we need a lead inventory of at least 200 leads, and we're going to segment those out into 8 groups of 25. Earl Nightingale, many, many years ago, 60 plus years ago, taught Jim Rohn. He said, hey, listen, Jim Rohn, for those of you who don't know Jim Rohn was Tony Robbins' personal mentor, okay? And Tony Robbins taught it to many, many people. And basically it says, even if you have a database of 5,000 people, it is a lot easier and more effective when you have 200 leads that you're focused on than it is to work the 5,000. It's not about making 100 cold calls a day. It's about making 25 quality calls a day. Because every single one of us on the live call or listening to the recording can carve out an hour a day to make 25 calls. And it doesn't take but an hour. The only reason it will take more than an hour is you have the unfortunate thing of actually getting into conversations. Now, I'm joking about that, but the only reason why you won't get through 25 calls in an hour is because you get into too many conversations, which is the ultimate result, which means you're going to set up more appointments, right? But this system works, okay? So you're going to take 200 leads. Now, what if you don't have 200 leads? Well, go get 200 leads by this Friday. Okay, well, how do I do that, John? Well, first of all, identify who your perfect client is. And if you don't know how to identify who your perfect client is, no problem. Go to my YouTube channel or go to my website, click on YouTube, and go find the video. There's a video up there, a workshop I did for the Rockland Chamber of Commerce, about an hour and a half long. It's called Marketing to Sales Funnel. And I taught step by step during that seminar how to identify who your perfect client is. So I want you to go and identify who your perfect client is. And then I want you to go to LinkedIn. I want you to go to Facebook. I want you to go to the newspaper. Well, not newspaper. Google, your Metro Chamber. I want you to go find 200 contacts. I don't care if they're warm, cold, whatever. You need 200. Why do we need 200? If you think about it this way, mental mindset. If I only have 25 leads, if one of them says no, I only got 24 left. And so I'm operating from a place of scarcity versus a place of abundance. It's a lot easier for me to have somebody tell me no when I have 199 more people to call than it is for somebody to tell me no and I only have 24 more people to call. And that's why you want to operate from a place of abundance. That is the number one secret to appointment setting. Always operate from a place of abundance. So you're going to take the 200 leads. I want you to create 8 groups in your CRM. Call them group 1, group 2, all the way to group 8, or call them whatever you want. But I want you to take 200 leads, segment them out into 8 groups of 25. Now, if you're like me, I have a database of 8,000 people. I still have 8 groups of 25. Not 25 groups of 25, 8 groups of 25. Can't hammer on that enough how important it is to narrow your focus. Okay. Next, you're going to block time in your schedule, because it's not going to happen by osmosis. It's not going to happen out of convenience. Trust me. If you say, "Hey, I'm going to set appointments today. I'm going to set aside time to make phone calls to set appointments today," and you don't block it in your calendar, everything on the planet is going to get in the way of you making those phone calls. I know, because I've been there. You know, I'm going to make calls today. And then next thing you know, I've got to rearrange my desk. I'm going to make calls today. Next thing you know, I've got to straighten out my card file. I'm going to make calls. Next thing you know, my cat's got diarrhea. Yeah, whatever, right? Any excuse will work. The phone weighs 20,000 pounds. So to prevent that from happening, make a scheduled block of time. What time of the day should I pick, John? Any time that you can find. Now, statistic-wise, there are great times for making phone calls. Tuesday traditionally is the best day to make phone calls. Wednesday, followed up by Wednesday, followed up by Thursday, followed up by Monday afternoon, followed up by Friday morning. Monday morning, Friday afternoon are traditionally the worst times to make calls. Okay, so my thing is block out an hour a day. Remember, consistency is king here. Next, we want to create a client customer magnet, something we can give away for free. Okay, maybe it's an article. Maybe it's something that you read about the latest, greatest thing, in business on how to hire people. Maybe you have a YouTube video you can share with somebody. Okay. One of the most powerful things going on right now is video. And every single one of us can create 2 or 3 YouTube videos explaining our product or service to a client, okay, or explaining the value, features, and benefits of our product or service and put it out on YouTube. Okay. So the point is find something that you can share with your potential prospect that they would appreciate getting. So I want you to, here's how you determine this. I want you to put yourself in the position of your prospect. You've already identified who your perfect client is. Think in terms of your prospect. What could I share with them that if they received it, they would literally want to thank me for it? Okay. Like I said, it could be your own content. It could be somebody else's content. Okay. Whatever it is, I want you to come up with something that you can send to your prospect ahead of time before you call them. So now you have a reason to call them. Because keep in mind, unless you get into a conversation with them, chances of you setting an appointment are very, very small. Okay, so now we have our client customer magnet. Next, we want to lock our mindset into being consistent and persistent for 90 days. Just don't even look up and measure results for 90 days. In fact, your number one goal for 90 days is to get as many no's as you can possibly get, because at the end of 90 days, you're going to have 200 qualified prospects. So you may throw 200, it's like a crock pot, right? So I want you to vision, for those of you that know what a crock pot is the device where you typically would make beef stew, okay, or a stew of some sort. And you set it on the counter, it slow cooks. You don't have to monitor it. It works all by itself. You just got to add the raw ingredients and then turn it on a slow simmer, and you can literally walk away for hours and come back and it'll be cooked and ready to go. In fact, you don't even have to turn it off. You can take the stew out, put more raw ingredients in there, come back 8 more hours, and it'll be ready to go again. And as long as the power continues to work, you can literally never unplug it. It's the same thing here. The first 200 leads you put in here are not going to be the same 200 leads you're going to have 90 days from now. Some of them are going to say, take me off your list. Some of them are going to say they're going to opt out. Some of them, they're going to change their phone number. Some of them, the phone number is not going to work. Okay? But at the end of 90 days, I promise you this, you'll have 200 qualified prospects, and you'll be able to set as many appointments as you want for the rest of your life. Okay. So here's what you do. Now that we need an email script, okay, and we already have our voicemail because we're going to get voicemail. Okay, we already have a voicemail script and what to say if they actually answer the call. So here's how it looks in the real world. Let's just say I was going to reach out to you. Okay, let's just say I was starting. Well, actually, I did. I started the business I currently have from scratch, from nothing, on December 2nd, 2013. I went and found 200 contacts. I put them in this system, and it took about 90 days. And at the end of the day, I had as many appointments as I want. Okay, so here's what you do: create something of value. Okay, I'm going to send it to them. I'm going to send you an email. Okay, so if you look down here, okay, the sequence of events is we're going to send the contact or the customer a magnet, something of value for free. We're going to follow up with a phone call within 24 hours. This says 48. We'll change this to 24. Okay, so I'm going to send you an email today. Within 24 hours, I'm going to follow up with a phone call to you to make sure you got what I sent you. And I'm going to ask you for an appointment. Okay, so if they answer, you're going to use an appointment setting script, and I'll get into what that is here in a minute. And if they don't answer, you're going to use a voicemail script. Okay, now if you look at this graph here, I've got it broken down by week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. And in Monday, let's just say, well, today is Monday. So let's just say we're starting this system today. We have our group, our 200 leads, and it's broken down into 8 groups of 25. So here's what I would do today. Now, T on here, T as in Tom, means touch, okay? That's where we're going to send the client or customer magnet. C means a phone call, okay? We're going to follow up with a phone call, okay? So group 1, I'm going to send an email, okay, a personal email. In other words, I'm going to hit send 25 times. Now, somebody's asked me before, can I use an email marketing engine, such as MailChimp or Constant Contact? And the answer is yes. It's not as powerful, and I've had clients use it, and it's succeeded, but I want this to be a personal email for me. I don't want to give them the option to opt out. Okay? I want it to look, feel, smell, breathe, just like it came to me from me personally. Now, it's a lot of work. I will not lie to you. Okay. Once you get the script set up and you get the system set up, it should take, I don't know, 9 minutes. I think the fastest I've ever done this is 9 minutes and 34 seconds to send 25 emails. Okay, and basically it's the same script. I'm going to send it to Joe. I'm just going to hit send over and over and over and over again. Now, if you're using Less Annoying CRM, it ties right into any email engine that you have, and you can create a script for that. Okay, you can create an actual system for that. But if you're using Less Annoying CRM, that's the one I use. It'll take anywhere from 9.5 to 10 minutes to do that. So I send it out. So the email is going to say, hey, Joe, here's some information about, how to hire and retain the right employees. In fact, it's so valuable, I didn't want to miscommunicate it, so I put it on a YouTube video for you. Check it out. Here's the YouTube video link. If you have any questions about this, or you'd like to set up a time to chat, click on the online calendar link in my signature below, and let's set up a time to chat. Hope all is well with you, John Pyron. P.S. And then I'll share some of my videos down there. Okay, I keep the email short, sweet, and simple. So I send it out. Send out 25 emails today. Okay, boom, gone. Tomorrow, what I'm going to do tomorrow is I'm going to take the exact same email I sent today, and I'm going to send it to group number 2 tomorrow. Same email, 25 times. After I get done sending out the email to group 2 tomorrow, I'm going to pick up the phone and I'm going to call group 1. So I'm going to have the 25 emails I sent from yesterday. I'm going to have my list, and I'm going to simply pick up the phone and I'm going to dial the phone number. And if they answer, I'm going to say something like this. Hey, Joe, this is John Pyron. You and I have never met, but I got your information from my buddy Jim. And before I called you, I sent you an email yesterday. I just wanted to see if you got that email. And he'll say no, right? Most of the time they will say no, I didn't get the email. Oh man, you want to go find that email. It's got some very valuable content in there. But hey, while I got you on the phone, Jim speaks very highly of you. And I want to find out if there's a time where you and I can get together for 10 minutes on the phone. I'd love to give an opportunity to get a chance to know you and your business better, see if I have any customers or prospects or clients that could benefit from your services. Do you have time today or tomorrow for a 10-minute phone call? Yeah, I could do it tomorrow. Great. Morning or afternoon? Afternoon. What about 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock? 3 o'clock. Great. All right, so I'm going to call you at this number at 3 o'clock. Is that correct? Yes. Great. Now, if there's any reason under any circumstance that you can't make that call tomorrow, can you let me know right now? Because I would rather find a time where you and I can connect for sure versus, maybe it's not going to work. No, tomorrow at 3 o'clock works. Great. I'll call you tomorrow. Bam, lock down the appointment. Okay. Now, what if I get voicemail, which is most of the time? No problem. Voicemail is going to answer, and I'm going to say, hi, Joe, this is John Pyron. You and I don't know one another, but I sent you an email. A friend of mine, Jim, referred me to you. Check your email when you get a chance. I'd love to hear back from you. Talk to you later. Bye. I don't even leave my phone number because I already know he's not going to call me back, number one. Number two is I want to warm him up. Again, he's in my crock pot. Okay, I've got to warm that up. I got to warm that lead up. So point is, I made my 25 calls, whether I got a voicemail or I talked to him. It's a win either way. Okay. Now, the next day, which is Wednesday, I'm going to send the same email to group 3. I'm going to call group 2. Thursday, I'm going to send the email to group 4. I'm going to call group 3. Friday, I'm going to send group 5 and call group 4. The following Monday, I'm going to send to group 6, call group 5. Tuesday, I'm going to send to group 7, call group 6. Wednesday, I'm going to send to group 8 and call group 1. And then here's where the magic happens. The following Thursday, I've now got to come up with one new marketing magnet. What else am I going to send? Okay? Because people in group 1, they got the email a week and a half ago. Now they have totally forgotten about me. Now I'm going to send them something else of value, and I'm going to call them again. I'm just going to repeat this cycle, okay, until I got 90 days consistent. Some people are going to send me an email back saying, take me off your list. Some people are going to return my call, and some people are not. Some people are going to answer the phone and set an appointment or tell me to get lost, and some people are not. Some people are going to return my call, and some people are not. The point is I need 90 days to get my list vetted, because at the end of 90 days, like if I call my list today, and I have a very qualified list, if I call my list today and somebody answers the phone, I go, hey, John Pyron. It's been a while, and I've been sending you emails for a long time, and I guess Jupiter's lined up with Saturn now because we're actually on the phone. Hey, is there a time where you and I could chat for 10 minutes? I want to get a chance to know you better, see if there's anything that you can help any one of my clients out or vice versa. Well, no, not right now. I don't really have time, etc. Here's what I would say to them today. I would say, okay, now let me ask you this before I let you go. You're on a very specific list of mine, and I only send out valuable content to this particular list, and you are in my target market. Now, do you want me to keep you on this list, or do you want me to delete you from this list because I got my finger on the delete button, and I just need to know if you want to save your spot on this list and continue to get valuable content or not? And I take it away. And the reason is I don't need them. And that's where, here's the whole point of this entire call. I want you to get your mindset to the point where you don't need them. Because at the end of the day, if you're constantly generating new leads, constantly adding new ingredients to your crock pot, You want to get to the point where you almost got like a swagger going on. See, when people know you don't need them, they want what you have. They want to set an appointment with you. Those people we've all seen them, those salespeople that aren't hitting quota, right? Those salespeople that aren't making sales, those business owners that are struggling, and they need an appointment with you, right? You can smell it on them. That no longer needs to be you, okay? You will be much more effective at appointment setting when you got so many leads coming in that you want people to tell you no. I need you to tell me no so I don't waste any more time. I don't tell them this, but I need you to tell me no so I don't waste any more time marketing to you. There are 7.4 billion people on the planet. And I can't work with everybody, and neither can you. So I hope this content has been valuable to you today. I think we got some time here. And if anybody, let me go ahead and unmute everyone. Let me actually, okay, so go ahead and mute yourself. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about what we talked about today before we go?
John, this is Chris. How are you?
Chris Martinez. What's up, buddy?
I'm doing well, my friend. Hey, got a question for you. So, would your system work with, say, network marketing?
Oh, perfect with network marketing.
So typically, people don't want to see, the company name when they go and network market. Do you suggest some neutral, generic magnet as something to send out, or something specific on the company? I think in order to prevent people from doing their own research on their own,
So with network marketing, let me take a look here. Let me mute. Okay. With network marketing, basically, what we're after here is we're after an appointment with them to talk to them about them. People are not going to be interested in any network marketing business if they don't have a reason to be interested in it. Okay. So the key with being successful at network marketing is to find people that you like, that if you were going to invest $50,000 into a business opportunity and you are looking for a partner to come up with 50 grand to go in on it with you, would you want this person in your business? Okay. And that's why it's important to have a lot of prospects when you're looking to build a network marketing business. When I built my Amway business, I had over 1,000 people in my downline, made a crap ton of money. Okay. The reason it was successful is I finally got to the point I got tired of everybody's a prospect, because not everybody's a prospect. Right. And so when I started getting picky about who I was going to allow in my business, all of a sudden my business grew dramatically. Okay. And so I went out and met people at networking events. I met people at coffee shops. I met people wherever I went. And I wasn't interested in pitching. It's like when you're out lead generating, you're out to generate a lead, not set an appointment. When you're setting an appointment, you're not selling. Okay. So in network marketing, what you want is you want a conversation with that person to get a chance to know them to get to know you, and see if it makes sense to have the conversation about your network marketing business. And when you approach it that way, then what will happen, you'll have a whole lot more successful appointments, number one. Number two, this particular system is very valuable. So with network marketing, if I was running this system for network marketing, I'd be looking for all kinds of articles, content that support lifestyle, that support being a business owner, being an entrepreneur. I would look to put out stuff about mindset. I would put out stuff about articles that help people grow on a personal level. all the stuff I would have to train them on should they join my network marketing business is the content that I would be sharing out. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
You bet. You bet. All right, guys, we are out of time, and I hope you guys had a great time today, and I will talk to you later and see you next week. Have a great week.